coaching, outside linebacker, tight end, and to echo Phil, Coach's sentiments. The reason why we were successful is because we all really, truly enjoyed each other's company. We were all friends.
Well said. Steve Booth. Well said. Steve Booth, yeah, you heard that. He's up there, and I'm the son. I was starting quarterback on the team, and the reason I was starting quarterback is my dad was the coach. Oh, ready for the second joke? Second string quarterback was my brother. So keep it in the family. All right, starting quarterback East Lansing, all good things. A couple of people I want to bring up their names that were part of the team that aren't unable to make it here today because they're just not with us anymore. So our blessings go out to Tony Pacelli, Bud Bowen, right? Lou Boyer, I think Dad brought up upstairs. Lou Boyer, part of the coaching staff. Joe Joseph. I'm going to mention Joe Joseph a little bit more because he was the all-state running back. He was my running back, and we were an option quarterback team. I was not a quarterback because of my arm. I was a quarterback because I could pitch the ball off to my boy, Joe Joseph. And that's what I did. And that young son of a gun ran like everything else. Unfortunately, Joe passed away this past year. How many months? Anybody give me?
8, 7.
Just a few months ago. So God rest his soul. Anyways, thank you for everything tonight, folks, and pass it along.
7.
Tom McCrum, defensive back,
That's Tom McCrum.
reside here in Lansing.
Jeff Reiner, multiple positions. I live in Kiva, Michigan.
I won't be that short. Randy Pertler, I was a defensive coordinator, as Phil had mentioned. First of all, I want to thank my mother that's here, all the support that she's given me over the years. My brother's here to support. My son and his girlfriend's here as well. And that family support is what, we saw at Lansing Catholic Central when we were there the whole time. I mean, I'm seeing parents now that I hadn't seen in, 38 years, and they're here still supporting their kids, just like they did when these guys were in high school. And I got to echo what Phil said, this is really a special group of people. And also very special. When I started coaching, I was 22 years old when I went to Lansing Catholic. And, I'm still a kid, really, coaching kids. And really, this man right here, Phil Booth, was like a second father to me. He took me under his wing. I wasn't that much older than those boys. And anyway, him and Mary, I just deeply appreciate that. And even though we've only seen each other maybe 4 or 5 times in the last 30 years, it's just like family. Like you see them again, and it's like we've never been apart. So I want to thank you for everything, Phil, from family in my heart. But this group was incredible, and this is such a great honor. But even a better privilege and honor was to be a part of these guys. It's funny, even at 18, you can see these people, young men, is going to be successful someday. And not just on the football field, but really having something special about their character. And the coaches, we never had to discipline them. The captains like Bobby Faded and Jim and Steve, they did all the discipline themselves. We didn't have to worry about that. We could worry about the X's and O's and to win football games, and they took care of everything else. It was just a privilege. Our defense was very special that year. Maybe one of the best defenses ever in the Lansing area, and it was because of the players that we had. We just lined them up, told them what to do, and they were incredible to watch. So it's been a privilege.
Hello, I'm Bob Fana. I was a linebacker, played with a bunch of great guys. Those are the days back then. And control your own destiny. We did a pretty good job.
Craig Gorski, I'm still in Grand Ledge area. You just spurred a memory I had playing as a junior on the team before ours, and the next year came up, and I'm not an athlete. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're going to play because you're big, so that's the way it is. The numbers are small, but the way people take care of you at that school and the way you were motivated. Coach brought me into the office, probably the first practice or whatever of the year, and he pulled out a helmet from underneath the table, set it down there, and it was one of the helmets of an impressive player from the year before. And he said, I need someone to fill that helmet. And that motivated me, and my teammate got me in the weight room, and that's what made me the best player I could have been for that team, and that's my memory.
Ken Roberts, nose guard and left guard.
Mike Kyler, lived in Grand Ledge, and I was offense and defensive line.
I played defensive end, tight end. Let's just say I was a blocking tight end. My hands were the best for receiving tight end. Live in the Houston, Texas area. And, you know, we're almost done here, so if you give me liberty, you know, we've spent 38 years for this, so let me start by telling the story of something from the beginning, and then take you up to the state championship. So it all started, I'm not just kidding, I'm not gonna do that. Joe, Joseph, that's your joke for tonight. We love you up there. Turn it over to my friend.
Doug Simon, grew up on the west side, St. Gerard. Currently live in DeWitt. Happy to be, proud to be supported tonight by my wife Amy and my son Nick and my daughter Treese. And I was another one of those tight ends that did nothing but block. In fact, Ken and I would, we were play-in runners, right? We'd get the call from coach, we'd run in and every other play. But I also started at safety on defense, and it was one of the best years of my life.
My name is Brett McFord. I live in Mission Viejo, California. That's in Southern Cal, between Los Angeles and San Diego. Played nose guard, defensive tackle, right guard, right tackle on offense. You know, it's not often you get to thank somebody who had a big impact on your life. So thank you, Coach. Appreciate everything you did. A small world story. I took driver's training with Ed Spagnolo. There were 8 people in the class. 4 of us, one was Amy Alcini, state champion tennis player at Okabis. Joe Joseph, my dear friend who passed recently, this February, state champion, myself, and Roger Ware.
Oh my gosh.
Roger and I sat next to each other for a long time when we learned how to drive. Pretty incredible when you think about it. This team, the year before we won the states, the JV team that I was on with Doug and Ken, several other players, also set a school record. And it's something that you don't really think about until you go through it. A lot of people have talked about overcoming adversity. We set the school record for a loss. We lost to Mason 56-7. We won the state title the next year and went 13-0. And one of the things that has not gone said tonight, but I think is important, that the reason all of these people and teams are up here is the community. Lansing's a great place. It was a super place in the 80s. The community support that we got, and from the schools and the parents, every playoff game, somebody hosts their house. There's probably 100 or 200 people there every night. And it was just a wonderful place. So thank you to the city.
My name is Pat Waleski. I still live in the Lansing area. I was a linebacker. I was a sophomore, and I just feel privileged to be part of this group. I was a young pup, and these guys treated us right, and I was privileged to play with Phil Booth and these incredible guys. So just happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
I'm Mark Failure. First of all, I'm just going to say it's funny to know that these guys actually have different mature names than what we used to call each other. Back in the day, so that's interesting. I was a split or a wide receiver, so I was the one that was catching the ball that Ken and Doug was supposed to be catching. I also did the punting. I also did the D-back, and I also placeholder for Mickey, who is kicking all of our extra points out there. So, and Bob faded every once in a while. So the only story I'll tell, and I think Phil has told this story 10 times or more, when Joey was kicking the extra field goal, just trying to do it that one time. And I think he kicked it right in the back of Bob's head. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. That's one of the only 3 or 4 memories I've got from it. But anyways, just I'm gonna let okay. Coach is still coaching, so thank you.
I want to introduce somebody because I'm sorry I missed him. I don't believe I did this because he was the most important person on this team. He said he started in 1963 when he, how old were you? 11. And he is still keeping stats for Catholic Central. Many schools have a person like him. We have all the stats. If you want to know if your dad was lying about all the touchdowns he scored for Resurrection, he's got them in there. Gabriel's the whole thing, all the way back. Plus, all the way through. Bill Richardson.
Yeah, it's called, I was a little kid, skinny kid, and I wanted to love sports. I was the oldest of 6 boys, so you can't be competitive. And I got the good fortune of running in Catholic Central, and I don't know if it's his first year or his second year that he was doing football. First year. Phil and I went through his entire career. I was doing stats on the sideline, getting to laugh at his jokes, and just loving the guys that playing action football, team football. And I want especially to lift up my wife, who in 1985 I married, and then I moved 2 blocks away from Catholic Central, and that's last you saw me there on Friday nights for the next 12 months, except for 6 months. But I'm really blessed to know all these guys, and I thank you for being part of this coach.